What's going on, peeps? Are you prepared for one of the craziest come-up stories in pop music? It's time to get familiar with folk pop artist Alex Warren. You've probably heard the name. He's got the biggest song of 2025 with Ordinary, but let's just say it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows for this guy. A very unordinary upbringing. He lost both parents young, went homeless, struggles with mental illness, and overall had a dark, rough life. Clearly there was a reason for all this, as he now hails at 19 million TikTok followers, 3 million YouTube subscribers, and 55 million monthly listeners on Spotify for what he calls dead people music. If you've noticed, we've been covering a lot of content creator gone musicians, and Alex Warren has had that exact transition. He was the founder of the TikTok group The Hype House, containing creators that ruled the app for 2 years. It was hard to be taken seriously as an artist due to his background, but he's been able to pull it off, as you see. However, I have seen Alex get a lot of hate in the music community. Glad he's able to take it lightly, because when I actually listen to his music, all I think is, really? This guy? I don't know what's going on. Music nerds aren't enjoying this stomp and clap folk revival we got going on. Similar to Benson Boone, there is a loud minority of people rejecting today's male pop stars. Some might have also noticed that we're seeing a surge of male belters, whereas the females are more reserved, as well as more songs with topics of religion and faith. There's a clear shift in the culture right now that is being led by Mr. Warren, who has a huskier belting tone and music that sure steps into worship territory. As a man of God, no issue with that. So I think it's time we deep dive into Fat Ginger Benson Boone's
I'm like a ginger fat version of him.
wild history and gut-wrenching catalog. Let's get started. Alexander Warren Hughes was born on September 18, 2000. In Carlsbad, California. Warren's father James introduced the young boy to music through the likes of Linkin Park, Train, and Coldplay, as well as giving him a Fender guitar at 5 years old, opening up an idea to embrace a path in music. He also enjoys classical music like Mozart, did some theater, and was obsessed with the Naked Brothers Band TV series for its youthful rock star energy, aspiring to sing half naked on stage or become a Nickelodeon actor. Unfortunately, this is where we get to some dark stuff. His father had been dealing with terminal kidney cancer since 2001, Alex's entire life basically. He beat it a couple times, but it kept coming back. Following this revelation, his family developed a Catholic faith that led to Warren attending schools of that faith. Knowing he was dying, Mr. Warren tried his hardest to spend as much time as possible with his family. He woke up at 5 a.m. before work to take Alex to the skate park every day, brought the family to Legoland often, put on talent shows every Friday, and most importantly, documented their childhood memories until his passing in November 2009. This sentimental gesture inspired Alex to carry on the torch with his own channel, Alex Hughes. Borrowing his neighbor's webcam to film his life growing up for his future kids. He showed off his skateboard skills, plus Alex and his brother Grant made a video for a Doritos commercial and submitted it for review. Following his father's passing, Alex attempted therapy, but it didn't work out, seemingly finding more relief playing piano and songwriting. Music became a sort of therapy for him that he didn't have to pay money for, but sadly, Warren would be bullied for singing on Musical.ly and participating in talent shows for validation until realizing he had stage fright. This caused him to lose interest in music for a while, turning to comedy instead. He created a new YouTube channel that focused more on vlogs and stunts with childhood friends. Warren filmed all day and stayed up till 6 a.m. some nights just to finish editing a video in Adobe After Effects. He felt this adrenaline rush from every time he posted that had him believing this was his calling. His mother didn't have the same feeling. Alex was now being raised solely by his mother Lisa, who fell into violent alcoholism after her partner's cancer diagnosis. There were nights where his father snuck the children out to get away from her. Her addiction got even worse after his passing, to the point where even a young Alex realized what was going on, especially after witnessing her driving drunk and running red lights. Turns out raising 4 kids and handling many investment properties their father had in place during the 2008 stock market crash was very stressful, to the point they had to rely on food stamps. But it just got more abusive over the next few years. She took out her anger on Alex with physical and mental abuse. He described her as the worst person ever when she was drunk, but kind-hearted sober. This plus a middle school breakup nearly pushed him to suicide on multiple occasions. The situation got so bad that he was kicked out of the house when he was 17 17 for following his YouTube dreams instead of completing school. He only had a phone, camera, a computer, and a dream to his name. For the time being, he would sleep in his friends' cars due to their parents believing he was a troublemaker for dropping out, until he could make an important decision about what he wants to do in life. He still chose content creation that the people around him were pretty unsure about. Given his situation and the less than 1% chance of making it on the platform, he had to choose between beating the odds or staying homeless, fighting for survival by studying the algorithm. He ended up living in cars for almost 6 months, showering in a gym, had a bank account in the negative, applied for any job available like a fish restaurant for 2 months, survived on $5 In-N-Out meals, and never graduated high school. Thankfully, his videos started gaining traction in 2018, where he could monetize his content and earn more income, quitting his job as soon as he could. That $100 he would make each month was used to book one night at a Motel 6 just to sleep in a real bed. By the grace of God, he continued to strike gold. Alex began his relationship with covert Annan. They first met on Snapchat when Warren told Annan's friend he thought she was cute. The two instantly clicked, but they were 2,000 miles apart. Despite the distance, she loved this man so much that 4 months later, she left her parents' Hawaii home and moved to California to live with Warren in his car. While Alex didn't admit he was homeless until she got there, she still held him down anyway as a support system. The couple would make silly videos together, post them on social media, and they happened to perform well in the algorithm. However, one night was nearly his last, when one of his friend's dads was fooling around and shot at a target, but he missed, and the bullet bounced off and struck Alex's lung. Somehow, he survived the incident. What else is crazy is that there is still part of the bullet in his lung to this day, and if they tried to remove it, they'd have to break all his ribs. Thankfully, the bullet is made of lead, so it won't cause problems, but he can't get an MRI because the bullet could move and seriously harm him. Apparently the accident was caught on video but is now lost media. It's safe to say that he was mature for his age due to these experiences. When he began earning $2,000 a month from monetization and brand deals, he rented a guest house from a friend and eventually got an apartment to move all his friends in. His channel had crossed 500,000 subscribers by mid-2019. Then Alex crossed paths with influencer Thomas Petro in San Diego and started hanging out. Thomas brought up his desire to start a content house similar to what Alex does with his friends, that Alex was down for. One day, Thomas called and asked if he still wanted in. When he said yes, he told him to Venmo him $800 for rent and move in the next day. He brought his friends, bought out their apartment lease, and paid Thomas back for the down payment. Warren came up with the name Hype House, seeing how much hype Charli D'Amelio and others had across the internet. The group officially formed in December, alongside other creators like Addison Rae, Charli and Dixie D'Amelio, Chase Hudson, and Thomas. Alex would become worldwide famous on the internet as he gained millions of warheads during the TikTok boom. Since most of these influencers never went to an actual college, this was technically their college experience. Warren didn't want to take up the management role, so he passed ownership to Thomas instead, who did his thing, as you can tell. The house was a success, even if he was the only one that got paid. Deep down, Alex hoped to turn this internet fame into music fame. But even after all this time, Alex couldn't catch a break. In early 2020, many social media users, especially fans of YouTuber David Dobrik, accused Warren of copying Dobrik's video style, thumbnails, mannerisms, and even his laugh. Both of these people were making goofy first-person vlogs with their friends that made you feel like you were part of the madness. They both had clickbait titles and barely lasted over 4 minutes. While Alex was inspired by David as well as other popular vloggers at the time like the Paul brothers and Tanner Fox, Warren stated he wasn't intentionally trying to replicate Dobrik's content during his nearly year-long absence. Oh wow, a shocked face over something crazy. Any kid would click that. It's clear he was just trying to follow the trends of YouTube. Can you blame him? Remember, he survived homelessness in an abusive home, so acting wild and trying to look cool makes sense if you walk in his shoes. The dude didn't have a father figure during the most important years of his life. He takes the Dobrik comparison as a compliment, as nowadays he understands why people saw it that way. His girlfriend Cover also faced backlash over cheating allegations that resulted in broken friendships. Alex ultimately chose to stay by her side anyway. Musically, Alex was back in the saddle. After hearing plenty of Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, Adele, Lewis Capaldi, Grayson Chance, and Shawn Mendes, Warren was building his confidence. Alex had prior self-taught attempts to learn singing and songwriting despite doubts from his mother and himself, but after his impulsive interview went off the air, Logan Paul had encouraged Warren to share these complicated life stories he had to make people feel like they aren't alone. Warren even shared the songs he wrote, and Logan strongly suggested he put them out. I guess this is the one thing you could thank Logan Paul for. From there, he created various burner accounts to plug covers of his and original music out of fear his primary audience and haters wouldn't take him seriously. All it took was filming one video singing Electric Love by Borns on a toilet, which exploded to 10 million views overnight, with people flooding his comments telling him to pursue this. He waited a while to put stuff out so nobody thought he was hopping on a trend. He wanted to do this right. Being inspired by folk and worship music, Warren will come up with a theme, write it down in his songbook, and later get help from experienced writers to flesh out his vision, all while taking singing, guitar, piano, and music theory multiple times throughout the week. You'll quickly learn this guy loves his bridges. He released his debut single One More I Love You on June 11, 2021 with assistance from Jake for a warm folk guitar arrangement, missing his dad, wishing he could see him again. Releasing this song was the scariest moment of his career. He didn't know what to expect. Once the tape started rolling, it was now the beginning. Safe to say, it resonated with millions, and the once mocked, alleged David Dobrik clone was now being taken a lot more seriously. All the man had to do to promote his singles is lip sync the song he wants to tease, include a few comedic elements, and post. He understood his audience and studied the TikTok algorithm the same way he studied YouTube analytics. As things were taking off, his mother passed away in October 2021 from liver and renal failure. This came months after Alex and her were back on speaking terms, revealing she was sober and attending Alcoholic Anonymous meetings. This made him question his faith, now losing both parents so young, but over time, he came to accept that his past challenges shaped who he is today, as well as his songs, relying on God and his faith to keep his parents close to his heart through his life. He followed with two heartfelt singles, Screaming Underwater, the anxious feeling that no one is hearing or understanding you as a child, and piano ballad, Remember Me Happy, that started as a suicide note, before being revised the day his mother died, questioning his purpose, but thankfully having enough support to hold on. Managed by Brian Stokolik of Odd Projects, Warren was now seen at 2 million subscribers on YouTube and 14 million on TikTok. Hype House continued to build up worldwide buzz when they landed a Netflix deal for a short-lived reality TV series based around the Groove's lives, which aired on January 7, 2022. Warren's side of the show involved challenges and pranks like a fake wedding. To the shock of nobody, the show wasn't renewed for a second season and received overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics. People criticized it for being boring and dull and said it made the LA content scene seem miserable to be around. Some Netflix users considered canceling their subscription over its release. It wouldn't come as a shock that the group completely fell apart months later. Warren announced his departure from the Hype House that summer over multiple disagreements within the group and not getting paid for his work. Not much else is known because Hype House members signed NDAs that prevent more information from being shared. Warren would then start a short-lived podcast locked in with various influencers as guests, where there was a no phone policy during each recording to have a focused one-on-one interaction about their darkest times. Major labels took note of his organic groundswell across the internet. He would be scouted by VP of A&R Michael Parker, offering him a deal with Atlantic Records that he felt satisfied with, eventually being signed in August 2022. Following the fallout with Hype House, it appears that Alex Warren had truly found himself. He admitted that in the past he strived to be liked due to the lack of parental support, leading him to do things he likely now regrets, even if it brought him fame. It was time to grow up and mature, become the son his parents wanted him to be all along, help uplift kids who struggle just like him, and take control of the traumatic experiences he went through in the music. He saw this as a chance to quit general content creation, which had become tiring, as you can tell by his excessive focus on chasing clout in that Netflix series. Looking back, he believed this social media persona wasn't him, and music was the first time he was embracing his true self. All he did was film his friends most of the time, so he barely got to see him. After several revisions, the cinematic Headlights was released as his first single under Atlantic, a battle of his depression, anxious thoughts, and insecurities following his mother's passing, followed by Chasing Shadows at the tail end of 2022, longing for comfort and approval from his parents, holding on to anything that reminds him of them. Warren would also pop the question to Cover on New Year's Eve. He went on his first headline tour in 2023 despite the anxiety he had about the whole thing. Change Your Mind talking his brother out of suicide. Give You Love questioning whether his lover will take advantage of him. How Could You Be Okay questioning how your ex is fine and you're not. In Yard Sale, letting go of the memories of a past relationship. From here, it's a cycle of tease song, drop it, and go on tour, all while putting together his debut album. Soon enough, he'd go international in 2024, releasing multiple charting singles on top of surging TikTok momentum. The emotional Before You Leave Me, taken from a middle school relationship of his, pleading for a second chance to redeem himself after a rough patch, followed by Save You a Seat, a promise to his late parents that he'll save them an empty seat at his wedding. Then the upbeat Carry You Home became his first song to achieve mainstream radio play, that I can imagine will become a wedding staple, a promise to his wife that he'll always be by your side for the rest of time, leading to his official chart breakthrough, the pop soul of Burning Down, stomping in at number 76. It describes how Thomas betrayed, gaslighted, took advantage of his kindness, and mistreated him and other original Hype House members, while blaming Alex for problems Thomas called. They may have had fun, but it got to a point where the group needed to split and move on. It would feature Nick Jonas on the remix, pushing it to a peak of number 69. All four were on his debut EP, You'll Be Alright Kid, Chapter 1, in September 27, 2024, which charted globally and initially debuted at number 62 on the Billboard 200. He would marry Cover on June 22nd, 2024. And do you remember the guy who shot him? Well, he ended up being the wedding officiant. On February 7, 2025, he scored a worldwide hit with Ordinary, the feeling of loving someone who makes life feel special. Could be about his wife or God. Warren was initially unsure it would be released, but the more stuff they added, like the choir, the more he was sold on it. It had been teased and anticipated on TikTok, especially in the book talk community. Following a performance on the season 8 reunion of Netflix's Love is Blind, this song received an even bigger audience. It has become one of the biggest hits of the year, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, spending 9 weeks on top thus far, selling 3 million copies, and leading more charts worldwide. It even managed to block Drake's latest song from number 1, that Drizzy didn't appear to take too well. Warren responded with a lighthearted joke. I guess it's another beef loss for Drake. Despite being American, Ordinary would achieve the longest consecutive run at number 1 on the UK singles chart by an American, with 12 weeks on top. As his popularity increased, his debut EP would climb to a new peak of number 13, followed by the excellent Jelly Roll collaboration Bloodline, previously teased at Stagecoach, the hope to break pain-filled generational curses both artists have dealt with. We all know Alex's story, obviously, but Jelly Roll once lived a life of crime, was in and out of jail for a decade, and was a dirt-poor drug addict. Then he also put out the duet with K-pop star Rose, On My Mind, Only Having Your Lover in Your Mind All the Time, and the angelic top 20 single Eternity. That is similar to One More I Love You, missing his father, where his passing felt like forever ago, wishing he had more time with him. Instead of putting out a second EP, he combined everything he'd been working on for the past 2 or 3 years on one record. These, alongside 11 new tracks, appeared on his debut album, You'll Be Alright Kid, that arrived on July 18th, 2025, which went top 5 internationally, selling 73,000 units in its opening week in the US. Might as well run through the deep cuts that have a similar stomp and holler pop rock sound. Struggling to find purpose on the infectious The Outside, especially when every day feels the same, reaching out to God for an anchor, realizing his mother wasn't perfect and was human just like him on the first time on Earth, hoping to make his younger self proud after everything he's gone through on Never Be Far, his fear of losing his wife on the piano and string ballad Everything, and questioning if she would love him if he were to change on Who I Am, fearing his life will come crashing down on him after all the work he has done on the funky getaway car. Fake It Till You Make It, is that a David Dobrik clone reference? In comparison to You Can't Stop This, which was like a motivation anthem. Catch My Breath details the night that left him breathless when he first met his future wife, and how she stuck around during his period of homelessness, similar to Troubled Waters when his now wife learned he was homeless and living in his car during their long distance relationship. He begged her to stay and promised his heart. Looks like she did. Heaven Without You makes a death do us part promise. Her love means so much to him that even heaven would feel empty without her. Concluding with the title track, wishing he would be able to tell his young self that despite the pain he would go through, it would work out in the end. Going forward, Warren wants to build his own family, have a few kids, and write songs about them in his home studio. Warren is still shocked and starstruck by how many music industry vets know him. Being able to share the stage with people like Lana Del Rey, Ed Sheeran, and Luke Combs has been a dream come true. It leaves me not understanding the hate for this guy, especially one that has been through so much. I don't care, he deserves it. While some of the production can be a bit overblown and samey, and isn't the greatest singer ever, I guess, there's nothing offensive about it. I guess if you make songs that work for the radio, you are automatically the spawn of Satan. Want to see how you scare a music nerd? When your legs don't work like they used to before. Anyway, Alex Warren has one of the most deserved success stories in music right now. I don't care what anyone says. Music is subjective, but come on, stop being so cranky. If you enjoy this video and want to see more like it, make sure to like and subscribe for more base content. I'll see you on the next one. Make sure to love all, and peace.